Welcome once again. Today we're looking at Rocky from 1976. Let's get into the movie. The movie opens up with an amateur boxer match between two local Philadelphia, Pennsylvania aspiring boxers, one of them being Rocky Balboa, played by none other than the man himself, Sylvester Stallone, as he wins the fight against his opponent, Spider Rico. Rocky's now in the locker room to take a break and sees that his opponent is also there. And he wins the cash prize that was offered for his amateur fight, and we also see the robe that has title, the Italian Stallion, which will come in real handy later in the movie. And now we're at the formal introduction of the movie. Rocky's now walking home, and along the way he meets up with the locals of Philadelphia as he meets up with some local musical group that just stays up all night singing. But they're nice people. So Rocky's now at home and just starts to talk to his pet over here. I think it's a turtle. He looks at himself in the mirror of his younger self in pictures, and of course Rocky Marciano, famous boxer. In these pictures you can easily find of Stallone on Google as he now goes to sleep.
A band called Kool and the Gang.
Next morning, Rocky is at the local pet store, I guess to pick up some necessities for his pet. But he's really there to talk to Adrian, the pet store employee who he's in love with, played by Talia Shire, who is related to Nicolas Cage and the entire Francis Ford Coppola family. The director of The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and a bunch of other movies whose names I forget. It looks like Rocky really enjoyed watching Tarzan from the 40s and the 50s growing up. Here he talks to his dog in real life, actually. Pretty sure his name's Butkus, who he had to sell for money. I think we all know about that story. He had to sell his dog to pay bills. You may think Rocky makes a lot of money from amateur boxing, but he's really an aggressive debt collector for Tony Gazzo, a loan shark himself. But Rocky spares this customer for now. Here we meet Tony Gazzo himself, played by Joe Spinell, who has been in quite a few Martin Scorsese movies, such as Taxi Driver. Gazzo is pissed off that Rocky didn't beat up the customer like he's supposed to get the money out of him instantly. Yeah, but Gazzo's driver pisses off Rocky and drives off away, scared, of course.
Come on, meatbag. I should have broke your thumb!
So Rocky is headed to the local boxing gym where he's getting ready to get in some boxing practice and sees that his locker is not opening. But he breaks it and notices that his locker is no longer his. And Mikey over here tells him that it's not his anymore. And Rocky goes to see the owner and the coach of the boxing gym, Mickey Goldmill, played by Burgess Meredith. Recognizable supporting actor from movies from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and up until here in 1976. I think he's more recognizable in the Rocky movies than he was earlier in his life as a supporting actor. I guess he's got a strong Philly accent for this movie, more like Irish/New York accent. I don't know what kind of accent Burgess Meredith's trying to portray here. Let me know in the comments if you know anything about it. So Mickey tells Rocky that his locker is no longer his, but it belongs to Dipper over here, the guy in the boxing room being trained by Mickey at the moment right now. So Rocky leaves and goes back to the pet store to try to talk to Adrian again, and once again, she is shy, but Rocky leaves and heads down to the bar where he can get a drink, but only to meet up with his best friend Paulie, played by Burt Young, who is the brother of Adrian from the pet store. And Burt Young died last year in 2023, who is using the bathroom at the bar, fixing whatever hair he's got left on his head, and he tells Rocky that Adrian is almost 30 years old and that she's a loser.
Adrian is a loser!
Paulie wants to talk to Rocky to ask Gazzo for a job, but Rocky makes up an excuse as not hiring at the moment, and he leaves without paying for his drink. Paulie, that is. But Rocky pays for him anyway. And at the bar, Rocky now sits down and is watching the TV on the wall, and here we see Apollo Creed, one of Rocky's greatest opponents, played by none other than Carl Weathers, who also died this year in 2024 from, I think, in his sleep. So Apollo's on TV promoting his new fight. I forget the fighter's name. I think it's Mackley Green, the one who is supposed to fight Apollo, but we will see some complications in a few moments.
Stay in school and use your brain. Be a doctor, be a lawyer.
Wise words from the great Apollo Creed. Not everyone's meant to be a fighter. But Rocky gets sad after hearing the bartender pretty much call him a loser at the age of 30. They're both 30 years old, Stallone in real life. And I think Stallone was maybe like 29-ish when this movie came out. So this movie was a big break. Rocky is now walking home and spots a local young girl hanging out with a big group of high school boys or middle school boys here. Marie, who reappears in Rocky V and the final Rocky movie in 2006. But Rocky tells Marie that this is not how a lady should act and to stop being a hoe. But Marie doesn't listen.
Rocky,
Yo.
Screw you, creepo.
Please, creepo.
But we will see what she really becomes in the final Rocky movie in 2006, so stay tuned for that. Next day, we are at Apollo Creed headquarters, and here we see George Jurgens, played by Thayer David. If you've seen the movie Around the World in 80 Days, I think he's in that movie with James Mason. You'll recognize him there. Jurgens, the ring announcer and promoter for Apollo Creed, as he reads a letter stating that Apollo's opponent for the upcoming fight is not feeling well or has some kind of injury. I forget what it is. Mackley Green, that's his name. We also meet Duke, played by Tony Burton, who will, become more useful in the later Rocky movies. But in this movie, he is referred to solely as Apollo's trainer. Apollo is now feeling embarrassed that there's no opponent for him to fight, and that the other two choices are already busy somewhere else, as George Jurgens tells Apollo that those two are also out of the question. So Rocky's now meeting up with Tony Gazzo again, the loan shark, for more debt collection brawls, with Gazzo's driver pissing off Rocky once again. So we are back again at Creed headquarters as Apollo looks at some documents about a local Philly amateur boxer that can make him famous, and Apollo made his decision that he will be fighting the Italian Stallion once he finds Rocky Balboa, of course.
The Italian Stallion.
Same night, we see Rocky and Paulie walking towards Paulie's house. Of course, Adrian's house, since they're both siblings, and it is Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Rocky does have a cigarette addiction, but it's nothing important. He'll lose it instantly in a few moments. So Rocky's excited that he's having Thanksgiving turkey at Paulie's house, but he's mainly going there to talk to Adrian because, I guess romance was still real in the 70s. But Paulie's pissed off at Adrian that she wants nothing to do with Rocky. But Paulie screams at her that why won't she give Rocky a chance, and even throws out the Thanksgiving turkey.
You want the bird? Go in the alley and eat the bird.
So Rocky gets gentle, wants to take Adrian to the skating rink.
You hungry, Rock?
And now she's ready. Rocky and Adrian are now at the skating rink, but obviously it's closed since it's after 6 p.m. And the guy that drives the Zamboni charges Rocky $10 for 10 minutes. But Rocky tries to negotiate it, but the Zamboni driver's like, no, you gotta pay $10 for 10 minutes to get on the ice. And the Zamboni driver yells out each time 1 minute passes by. So two have a friendly conversation, finally. As we know that Adrian isn't weird as she looks. Now we are back in Rocky's neighborhood.
I gotta go too. I gotta go to the bathroom. Come on.
And he wants Adrian to come inside his apartment, but she wants to leave. But, he says this, but she still goes inside. Rocky offers her some desserts and shows Adrian the pet she sold to Rocky. And now he wants her to sit on the couch with him. But instead, she starts looking around and wants to call Paulie as an excuse to leave. But Rocky does this.
Yo, Paulie, your sister's with me. I'll call you back later. See ya.
So she wants to leave again, and Rocky convinces her this time to stay, and now he kisses her. Man, you can tell she likes it. Well, at least we know now she's not really weird. The next day, we are back at the Mighty Mix boxing gym, and we see Rocky going towards Mickey as he gives Rocky this card about George Jurgens wanting to see him. We know that is Apollo Creed's promoter and boxing announcer. Mickey over here tells Rocky that he could have been a big champion boxer and that he had potential, but now he sees potential in Dipper.
Because you had the talent to become a good fighter, second-rate loan shark.
When Rocky leaves after hearing that, he could have been the next Rocky Marciano, but he heads down to Apollo Creed's office. And here we meet George Jurgens again, and he tells Rocky that if he is willing to box Apollo Creed in the upcoming fight as the replacement for the original boxer, Mackley Green, that Apollo was supposed to do, but, Rocky responds, no. So George Jurgens begins to tell Rocky that Apollo likes him and he wants to box him, and this can make him famous. So he agrees to fight Apollo Creed. Now Rocky's on TV watching a pre-boxing press conference, back home at Adrian and Paulie watching the recording of that press conference on TV.
That means if he can't fight, I bet he can cook.
Now this is a line that will eventually piss Rocky off, and of course he doesn't want to forget about Adrian.
Yo, Adrian, me Rocky.
So Paulie's pissed off and drunk, unusually this time, I don't know for what. So the two walk out as Rocky leaves, and before Adrian goes back inside, he tells her that whatever Paulo said about him in that recording does piss him off. So we're back at some plaza where we see Rocky and obviously Tony Gazzo giving him $500 after finding out he is boxing the great Apollo Creed. But Tony leaves by yanking the cigarette out of Rocky's mouth because he knows it's bad for him for his training, and that's it for the night. And now we see Mickey again walking up to Rocky's apartment. I always thought Rocky lived in a townhouse actually after seeing the outside of his house, but turns out it's an apartment. So Rocky lets Mickey into his apartment, and Mickey wants to become Rocky's manager and trainer.
You kind of remind me of The Rock.
Here. Wayne Johnson? The Rock?
But Rocky being stubborn and rational here because he knows Mickey never liked him that way. You know, after finding out that his locker at the boxing gym was given to Dipper,
I need your help about 10 years. You never helped me.
as well as not needing him in the past, he says no to Mickey. But Mickey starts talking nicely to Rocky over here and tells him that even great boxers had managers, and gives the example of the famous Jack Dempsey, who's also dead. Mickey continues to tell Rocky that he is 76 years old with a lot of experience, and he used to be a boxer himself, and shows a picture of himself to Rocky during his boxing days, and as well as explaining the various injuries he's experienced. Rocky doesn't want to cause another scene in his apartment, so he goes inside the bathroom to use it, but to mainly avoid Mickey, of course. But Mickey gives up for now, and he leaves, and Rocky comes back out and sees that Mickey is still there.
Your prime.
But Mickey leaves for real after Rocky just starts yelling at Mickey from the apartment and just listens. So Rocky stops yelling and runs out to tell old Mickey that he can train him for the upcoming fight. He finally starts his first day of training. So he wakes up and cracks open 5 to 6 raw eggs and drinks that in one go as his pre-workout. Now in today's world, you have protein powder, protein shakes, energy protein drinks, protein bars, energy drinks with protein. Rocky stretches before his run and he gives up for today, experiencing pain. Now we're at a meat factory where Paulie works at, of course. Rocky's asked about him and Adrian's status update on their relationship. So Paulie hits the meat, and Rocky notices that he now has another punching bag for practice. So Rocky's now back at home with meat blood on his hands, and Adrian's there to comfort him, and she wants to fool around, of course. Yep, I knew it. She's not as weird as she looks. Rocky yells at her and, of course, apologizes. Rocky's back to training, hitting the punching bag, and these two young girls want an autograph from the great Rocky Balboa, and Mickey over here yells at them they shouldn't be distracted.
How about you give us your autograph? Get out of here!
And that she also stay away from Adrian as Mickey gives these words of advice.
That shop game. Women, weaken legs.
But Rocky being all in love and over caring about Adrian gets Mickey pissed off as well.
I really like this girl, you know?
But let her train you!
I've got it.
Anyway, Rocky is running back home after done training for the day and sees Adrian on his doorstep wearing new clothes. And she also brings out the dog from the pet shop, where he, the same dog, Butkus. And the Tarzan calls he was, So Rocky goes for a jog with the dog. He stops by Paulie's workplace once again and sees that Paulie called up a news station for a quick interview about the upcoming fight against Apollo Creed. And they start yelling at each other that this should have been kept private. And, Rocky now softens up after hearing Adrian does like him.
My sister really likes you.
So Rocky now takes the interview.
Greek guy sticking his face in.
Duke, Apollo's trainer, is watching Rocky punching the meat on TV and is concerned about Rocky's intense training and that he might beat Apollo Creed. So we see Paulie coming back from work while Rocky and Adrian are watching a movie, probably a Frank Sinatra movie. Paulie comes back from work pissed off and takes out the bat and starts destructing the house. And Paulie's also saying that he's not married because he thinks Adrian is a weirdo and a loser, and says that she owes him, but she says it's the other way around. So she runs to her room and wants to move in with Rocky.
You want a roommate?
Absolutely.
Rocky is back to training again. Paulie is back at the boxing gym where Rocky's training at. Tells him that he can advertise Rocky's name, hence Paulie's way of making quick money. So Rocky says, go ahead. Now we are at one of the many training sequences in the Rocky franchise, but this time with a weak version of the Rocky theme. But the theme does get stronger by the third movie. The next scene, we see Rocky at home looking at the advertisement of himself for the fight against Apollo Creed on the wall, and of course Adrian's also there, And he is now at the stadium where the boxing match will happen soon, and sees that the giant poster of Apollo and himself are, posted. But Jurgens returns to see that Rocky is there, and Rocky tells Jurgens that the poster of him is wrong, pointless conversation, but Jurgens ignores what Rocky said and wishes him good night. Rocky's now back at home and tells Adrian that he can't beat Apollo Creed after standing in that arena, but the two go back to sleep, and we are now at the boxing opening ceremony as Adrian stares at Rocky. But both Rocky and Apollo are there for the formal warm-up, rubs, breathing exercises, mouthpieces, applying eye cream, and inhaling nasal spray. And is ready to go out into the arena for his introduction.
Good luck.
Don't leave town.
Rocky's greeting all of his fans and is now in the ring waiting for his contender. Apollo is now entered with his ultra-American entry. Apollo does his kind of introduction again in the fourth movie against, Ivan Drago. Jurgens is now announcing the boxing match, and you see Paulie over here with his fancy clothes and his paid girlfriend. Pretty sure sitting beside Paulie is Sylvester Stallone's brother Frank Stallone, at least I think it is. Let me know in the comments. Jurgens introduces the legendary Joe Frazier, famous boxer from the 60s and the 70s. If you know anything about old school boxing from the Muhammad Ali times, you will recognize him easily. The boxing match is obviously shown on TV, and we see Rocky's local friends all watching it at the bar. And they're finally ready to box each other, jumping on the spot, and Rocky Balboa gives the first hit against Apollo and is now on the ground. Everyone is now cheering for Rocky that he put the world heavyweight champion down quicker. Apollo is back up trying to box Rocky again as punches are blocked, and now Rocky has Apollo at the edge of the ring. Now Apollo punches Rocky, and here we see Adrian watching. And now Apollo and Rocky are taking a little breather break. And now they're back fighting again. And we see Paulie watching. And now the boxing match is getting really aggressive. And we see Duke, Apollo's trainer, and the referee and Rocky's team getting in the middle of the two boxers. Apollo gives Rocky another punch. And so the fight goes on. And now the two are at it again and can't even see each other this time, with the Statue of Liberty keeping score. We see Adrian coming out from the back of the arena. And Apollo and Rocky are back at it, where Rocky's punching Apollo's side. Rocky can't see at all this time. And the two continue to fight, so Apollo wins and Rocky loses. Or was it a tie? And this fight's kind of hard to explain. Here we hear the recognizable Adrian call. And Adrian runs towards it, while Paul is stopped by this cop. And we have the ending to the first Rocky movie. And there you have it, Rocky from 1976. Great start to the Rocky movies. There will never be another one like this, unless you like Creed, of course. So this was Stallone's very first big movie. Before that, he was more of a supporting actor before 1976. I think after this movie, he became more recognizable than ever before. Carl Weathers and Burt Young, 2023, 2024, pretty recent deaths. Even Joe Frazier also died relatively recently in 2011 from liver cancer. But at least he lived long enough to watch all the Rocky movies, but not the Creed ones. Same with Carl Weathers and Burt Young, at least they've managed to watch all the Rocky movies and even Creed. That's about it. Now, we'll see you soon in Rocky 2 from 1979. Take care, have a great day, and watch away.